Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to break down the episode 7 trailer and talk about some of my predictions for the episode because I do believe that we're going to get some big character deaths in this episode. I think one character for sure is going to be gone in this episode because I'm getting very similar story vibes to Here's Negan. And I think with how that ended, I could totally see a very similar situation happening here. And what is Negan going to do in that situation? Because we have, obviously for sure, we're likely going to be getting a lot of hallucinations of Lucille, right? Because, I mean, it has to happen in this episode. I don't think it's going to be an episode 8 thing. Like, they're not going to save Lucille and all the hallucination stuff for the finale because I just think that it's going to be really related to what is happening here with Ginny and Negan actually getting a lot of supplies and whatnot to save her. And obviously he did something very similar in the episode Here's Negan, which ended with Lucille's death. So I just wonder if it's going to be very similar and something's going to happen here where, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it in this video. So before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. Now, there's some really interesting storylines happening in this episode because we actually have, I mean, a few of them, right? I mean, obviously the main storylines are Maggie and then there's Negan, right? So there's always like those two main storylines. And so, you know, like maybe one character gets more of a storyline or a bigger storyline in an episode, but it's usually those two storylines there. And in the beginning here, we do see Ginny very sick and it looks like obviously it's not a walker bite or anything like that, but it does seem like she is just like maybe infected just because the wound is getting infected kind of thing. And so it's a fever from that, or yeah, it has to be that because obviously it wasn't a walker bite or anything like that. But it does seem like what's happening here is Negan talks with Benjamin and they're talking about like, what should we do? And I imagine that Benjamin is going to know the area really well, or at least I hope he would. He is a historian, right? But I think he will say, well, you can go to this place here, which it does seem to actually be the hospital, and you could get supplies there. It's possible that maybe it's not necessarily something that he knows as a historian, but maybe it's more just that, you know, like New Babylon was going there for their supplies, and so that's why he decides to go there. It makes a lot of sense. Like, I originally thought that maybe he decides to leave after Dama's death, right? And he was just like, no, I'm going to leave here because I thought the Croat was likely going to be the new leader, but no, it actually played out totally different. Negan is the new leader, and the Croat's gone right now. I'll talk about the Croat because he's actually in this trailer, but yeah, like I guess that's just sort of what's happening here. He's not running away. He's actually trying to get supplies here for Ginny, which makes a lot of sense. You know, I was wondering why he went to the hospital, but I guess that's why. It's to save Ginny, to get some medical supplies. And it's kind of cool because this is a very like classic Walking Dead mission, right? And we haven't had this in a while. Like playing the Telltale games or even early on in The Walking Dead, like this was something that happened all the time. And so to actually see it happening here, it's kind of cool because, again, I don't think it's happened in a while, but yeah, really cool to see. We do see some shots of Negan actually, and he's outside, and it looks like he's outside of the hospital. And yeah, we do see the hospital here. And I mean, I think this is where a lot of the hallucinations are going to be happening, is inside this hospital. Like, in the trailer, we'll get into it, but it looks like there's going to be a scene where maybe someone steals the supplies that he needs, and so it turns into this like whole chase scene or whatever. And so I think that's likely going to happen there, and then after that, we'll probably get some sort of hallucination scene. Maybe it happens before, and, you know, I think, like, that's the thing, too. I'm trying to think of what's going to happen with all of that, and I'll do a video talking about that later this week, like, talking about what I'm expecting to see from Lucille's return, and, like, you know, now that we've watched episode 6, like, where is Negan at right now mentally, and how it makes sense to have Lucille come back in this episode. Like, he is really struggling with a lot of, like, you know, where should he be and all of that, because his family is gone. Should I even be with them? And all of that. And I just really do wonder, like, if some of the Lucille stuff gives him a lot of perspective where he's like, okay, actually, this makes a lot of sense. I should maybe be a little bit more like this or that. Like, I think it's going to be really emotional because he does cry quite a bit. He's going to miss the past, I think, and he's going to really be like, I'm so sorry, this and that. And I think that Lucille will just kind of, you know, basically say it's not your fault, or it's time to move on. And, you know, I wonder if he's going to be able to by the end of that scene. Like, I feel like maybe it's going to end where he's more at peace with, you know, I guess himself after that. And then he goes back to, I guess, you know, the tunnel where Ginny is. He brings back the medical supplies, and then he finds her either as a walker, or I'm not sure what's going to happen, because there is going to be something that happens in that scene, like with the tunnel. And we haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen Negan, you know, smile in the tunnel like that and have that scene where he ends up Lucilleing somebody. So, you know, and there's still that one scene where he is crying, and it's in a very similar environment in terms of the lighting and everything. So I just think that's likely where this is ending here. I really do think that Ginny is likely going to die here in this episode, and it's going to be really emotional, like almost cliffhanger type of moment for the character, because like what's going to happen in the finale after, right? Like if he ends up Lucilleing a bunch of people and like now he wants revenge on the Croat, like what's going to happen, right? And I feel like the episode's going to end in that way, and then there's just going to be a lot of excitement for the finale because we're going to see him go absolutely insane. But we do see Maggie here, and obviously she is searching for Herschel right now. And it looks like for this storyline, it's going to be Maggie and the Croat actually going up to, I guess, the theater or the tower. And that's likely where Herschel is staying, right? And I don't know how this is going to end. Like, there's a lot of stuff here where I'm trying to see how Maggie's storyline is going to end, I guess, by the finale. Like, I think in the finale, she's probably going to end up killing the Croat or something, because remember, at some point, she's going to have Lucille. It's not happening in episode 7. There's too much stuff happening in episode 7. So in the finale, she's going to have Lucille, right? And now I'm just so curious as to why. And if it's because of something that the Croat is going to do to Maggie in episode 7 here, like where maybe, you know, she's about to die or something, or maybe he's leading her to a trap or something like that. Like, it's going to be something like that, I feel like. Or maybe it's because of just all of the stuff that he's done, right? Like, there's actually a scene that we haven't seen yet where we do see Maggie, and it looks like she's hurt in some way. And I think it happens around the Lucille scene, so that's going to be a finale scene. The Croat is obviously going to be a big part of that episode, I'm assuming. I don't see the character dying here. I don't see Bruegel's story ending in episode 8 as well, because it doesn't seem like he's even really a part of episode 7. I think he will be, although I don't even really know, because like, there's really no reason to have him there unless it's like a very like really cool scene at the very end setting up the finale, right? So I don't know, but for Maggie and the Croat, it actually looks like, he's going to help her find Herschel, and they're going to go up to that tower, and then we're going to get all of the, craziness that happens there. It looks like Maggie ends up trapped, and it's going to be really amazing, exciting stuff, I think. But it looks like this episode, I think, for Maggie and the Croat is going to be interesting because they got to work together to find Herschel, and you know that it's not going to end that way. The Croat's going to end up doing something here where, obviously it's probably going to frustrate all of us, but we also see some shots here of Negan in the hospital, and it looks like someone takes the supplies and runs away, so he chases them, and that's really it. Like, honestly, this trailer doesn't really give us a lot. Like, there's not a lot to talk about with the trailer, but there's other things that we've seen from previous trailers where it's like, yeah, it makes sense that maybe some of these moments will happen, right? Like, the Lucille hallucination scene. That's not in the trailer, but we've seen that before, so we know it's likely going to happen here. There's quite a bit of things that I think, will happen in this episode. Overall, if I had to give any predictions for how this episode's likely going to play out, I think that from beginning to end, it's going to be for Maggie. Obviously, she's trying to find Herschel, so I think at some point, she will find him. There's going to be some sort of conclusion at the end where maybe it sets up the finale, or I don't know where they're going to go at that point. But I think that there's going to be a lot of obviously crazy stuff happening between Maggie and the Croat where, should she even trust him, and like what's going on there and what happens with the Croat at the very end. And I think for Negan and his storyline, it's going to be, we need some medical supplies. He's going to get the medical supplies, come back. And then I think Ginny will die. Like, I think that she might be a walker already, or I'm not sure how it's going to play out, but it's not going to be a happy ending, I don't think, because it is the last episode before the finale. And a lot of times with seasons, there's usually like 2 scenarios that can play out. Like, the episode before the finale is like the big episode, or the finale is the big episode and it's more like the ending episode, right? But there's obviously some sort of cliffhanger or setup for the next season. I think what they could be doing here is, I do think the finale is likely going to be the bigger episode, but I think there will be some setup here for that. I think that that's what they're doing here this season. So yeah, I think it's going to be really fun to see what happens here. And I think that this episode is going to be really great. And then we're just building up to the finale and like what happens there. Will Dwight show up? Like, there's so many things that, next week is going to be so much fun to talk about the finale, or not the finale, but just building up to the finale and just what's going to happen there. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post all your predictions down below for this episode. And I will be posting a lot more videos this week. I did a lot of moving and all of that this weekend. And I know that that's been something that honestly, the last like week or two, it's been really taking up a lot of my time. I'm sure those who have moved before understand, right? Like, it's just a whole process of like packing up a bunch of boxes and having to like move everything there and then bring everything in the house. And it's just like this whole thing that, like, honestly, yesterday, I think we were moving for about maybe 8 hours. Like, it started around like 11, 12, somewhere around there. or 12:01 maybe, and then we went until like just after 8. So it was a really long time, and like I'm still not done, but in the next week or two I should be for sure done. And I mean, a lot of the hard work is going to be over, so I'll be able to manage a lot of the, there'll probably be a day or two where I have to like not really do a video, but I think I'll be able to do a lot more here, and it's perfectly timed because the story is getting really interesting here, and I think there will be some really interesting character deaths that I think will really, help the characters grow in like different ways. Like Negan, if Ginny dies, what does that do for his character? That's usually why you have characters die, right? Is a lot of like character development for other characters because they got to react to that moment, and it's just like what happens now, and like it becomes like this whole thing, right? So I think that that's really what I'm interested in for, I guess, how episode 7 is going to end, and then where episode 8 goes, because that's the finale. And I think if the finale ends with Dwight showing up, it would just, like, I don't even know. Honestly, the hype for season 3 would be absolutely insane. Like, I feel like that's the best time to announce the renewal for season 3. Like, Dwight shows up at the end. It's a cliffhanger. What is happening? Like, there's so much happening for The Walking Dead Dead City, and it's the perfect cliffhanger to end on for season 3, because they are going to be filming season 3 in the summer, and if Dwight's going to be a part of the show, you're going to see him there. And I think it's one of those things where you have to reveal it, obviously, in the finale so that it's not spoiled in the season when they're filming, because, I mean, everyone's always there, right? So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see where this goes here. But this trailer looked really great, and I'm excited for episode 7. So definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.